You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia. Tactical Fishing Company.
LMD Enterprises, keeping your boat, truck, and equipment running at its absolute best. And Fishing ProTech, located just outside Williamsburg, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing on this holiday Monday? Guys, I hope you were able to get out barbecue or not get drenched. It was insanely wet this week. It seems like all of the rain we were supposed to get all week decided to come down the last 3 days. I really want to get back into doing some Monday Night Live, some call-in shows as well. I kind of miss them, and I think we're going to try to get back into doing Mondays or another day during the week. You guys let me know in the comment section down below, what day would you like me to live stream? But it can't be Fridays, because I have on right now the crew of the best Friday show ever done. When they're on Fridays, it feels like my weekend, it really is complete. And one of them just went up to one of the biggest tournaments on the Chesapeake Bay, whipped it out, and blew everyone away. Second place. This is going to be a fantastic conversation. If you guys have any questions about the Chesapeake Bay, about drinking, or about love, these people are your people. Bass and Beer Radio.
What's up, man?
Hey. What's up, y'all?
Thanks for having us, man. It's always fun linking up with you and talking some fishing, man. Thanks for having us.
Y'all's show, man, I adore it. I really do. The vibe of it all, Friday night, it just kind of is a kickoff to the weekend. I know Fridays are tough though, because on the other end, you guys have to work. But Bass and Beer Radio, guys, go check them out.
Don't forget your beers, everybody.
Yes, or
wouldn't be Bass and Beer Radio without a beer
or tequila shots,
or tequila shots. Anything really, anything to take the edge off, right?
God, yeah. I mean, before we get into the tournament, what have you guys been up to?
So we haven't gone live in a little while, and for a couple of reasons. So I guess when our last live show was like the end of April, right after I won the tournament on the Gunpowder.
Yep.
I went away the next 2 weeks. I know Paul's had tournaments every weekend. So without one of us, it's kind of hard because then it's just Chad. So we've kind of taken a little bit of a break. But things are coming back together. I'm back full time. At least for a little while. So we should be live a little bit more consistently as things kind of progress. But anyway, yeah, it's just busy, man. And then, the Friday nights are great. Like I love fishing, or I love coming on the show on Friday nights, but there's an extra monster in my console for tournament Saturdays after, Friday night shenanigans when you drink 10 beers and then wake up at 3 a.m. to go fish after going to bed at 11. So, I'm going to do it while I can, but the 30 years old's coming around the corner. I feel like those days are numbered. But that's how it goes.
It's the beginning of the end of your life, brother.
That's what I hear. But I'm gonna ignore it until I can't ignore it anymore. But we'll see what happens. That's what nicotine pouches and white Monster energy drinks are for. It's for tournament mornings when you got a little too banged up on Friday night.
Seriously,
as far as me, man, it's getting hot out. I do HVAC for a living. So I've just been freaking running the roads, doing working a lot, getting the garden ready for gardening season, and getting out and fishing when I can. I'm not the tournament angler that Tony is, or Paul for that matter. I do fish some small tournaments, but I'm just a freaking love of the sport type of guy and just absolutely love talking about bass fishing. I've, put my time in on a boat to understand what I'm doing a little bit, but yeah, man, we're just out here for the love of the sport and we just love talking about it. Look forward to Friday nights and hanging out with all the people we meet, like Mr. Thomas here.
Guys, great show. And if there was ever a company that should get a nicotine or caffeine pouch sponsorship, it's y'all. Please go check them out. Link in the episode description to everything. Oh goodness. I see all the questions. We are going to get to them all. And then again, if you guys see someone you want to talk to immediately, fine, but we will make sure every chat gets answered tonight. I'm going to give away a couple of gift cards too, to Tactical Fishing Company, LMD, all my sponsors, but it has to be a good question, not just a what's up or suck my. Yeah, that was one, which was weird. It's like I said, leave
Was
a
it really?
I had a giveaway last like a week ago. I said just leave a comment and you're in for it. And he said suck my blank. It's like, dude, really? Did you think I was gonna be like, you know what, that guy there? He's gonna get a gift card.
You get the prize this week. Right. That's awesome.
But yeah, what is let's get into it. Like tournament wise, how is the Chesapeake Bay fishing going into this thing, and how is your boat working? We'll get into later,
so
like how is it?
So to be honest with you, and this is going to be like the funniest part of this whole thing, not a day, not a minute, not a second of practice, none. So I was away for my annual training for the military from the 1st or the 2nd to like the 16th. So that the 16th was when my training ended. The tournament was on the 17th.
Are you
so
active or reserves?
I'm active in the Guard. So I'm actually active duty. Like I'm full time, but I'm a full time personnel for the Guard. So I'm local, but I do have to travel a little bit. And when these things get scheduled, like you can't miss them. So it is what it is. But so anyway, so
I mean,
Miles,
you just get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
know.
There would be no more fishing. I can tell you that. But anyway, so
A
Miles,
lot of fishing because they would just get rid of you.
so Miles was supposed to practice, and Miles has been having issues with his boat too. So his boat was at the shop, and then they were still having some problems with it. So we ended up just like, hey, there's no practice. Like we're just gonna go out and fish. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So obviously we're taking my boat, which that day was running amazing. I mean, I had not that I know a whole lot about driving a Bullet yet, but I had all my stuff, which I took it all out of the boat today, and it was well over 100 pounds of gear, just my stuff, which
ran
that's
good
a lot
that day.
Yeah. So, and then Miles had like 11 rods, which is crazy because he only needed 2. And then like 50 pounds of gear, and we were still running 70 to 72. We were boat 6. We passed everybody within the first 200 yards. Like it was not slow. I mean, we were screaming up the river. So no practice. We just kind of went into it blind. And like, I looked at some waypoints that I've had over the last couple of years, and I was just kind of looking at them, and I found like with the flats and the Potomac's kind of the same way, but really with the flats is like, you rarely have a waypoint where it's just one, right? You have clusters of waypoints, right? You'll go out in an area, maybe the size of 3 or 4 football fields roughly, and you'll catch one here and you'll catch one there, and you'll put a waypoint on it and a waypoint, and there's like these little clusters of waypoints. Now, when I started looking at my waypoints, I noticed that there were clusters of waypoints that were in May of last year, May of the year before, May of 2023. So, and the thing about the grass is a lot of the grass does grow in similar places early, right? Later in the year, those fish will move around a lot. I mean, they're schooling up, they're chasing bait, just like they would on a lake. But in the spring when they're spawning, and I think that's a lot of what's going on right now, is fish, maybe they're not actively spawning, but they're either getting ready, they are actively spawning, or they just finished. So they're very related to a spawning deal right now.
There's a lot of spawned out fish on the bay right now.
Yeah. And the thing of it is with the inconsistent weather patterns, I mean, you're just going to have, you're going to have fish doing all 3 things.
Well, this entire spring has just been wampus.
Yeah. It's been weird all spring. But that's kind of what we did is I just found some areas where I'd caught fish in the spring over the years, and we just went and fished them. We started on our first spot, ran over there. Miles had caught 2 on a chatterbait, and wasn't really, I was throwing it. I couldn't really get bit. The grass where we were fishing, so the back channel is actually a little bit shallower than the main flats. So you got a lot of grass that can get topped out. It can be a little bit harder to fish a chatterbait if you want to fish the thicker clumps. So I picked up a Texas rig swim bait that I throw. I've been throwing this rig for a long time. I won't tell you which swim bait it is, and that's only because an old man showed it to me. If I come up with it, I'd spill the beans.
Is it a mag draft or like a hollow batty Bastrix style?
It's not. It's actually nothing like that at all. It's
Ooh,
basic.
fun.
It's basically just like a swim bait that you can go and get at Dick's. I won't say the swim bait, but the biggest thing that I'll tell you is it's the rig. So what I'll do is instead of a belly weight, I use a screw lock. So a tungsten, like I think it's a quarter. I either throw a 1/4 ounce or 3/8. I don't remember. Actually, I throw both. I'm pretty sure it's usually a 3/8. But basically you screw it into the nose of the bait, and what happens is that bait it'll be doing swim bait things, and then it'll just do a corkscrew. It's the only swim bait I've ever seen do it. I don't know that the bait is as important as the screw lock, because with the belly weight you have a lot of this going on, right?
Is this something you've been practicing with, or is this just the heat of the moment in the tournament you decided to go with it?
This is something that I always have on my boat.
I've been throwing it for years.
So I always have it on the boat, and the reason why is like a lot of times there will be days where I know their fish are eating reaction baits and I can't really get a chatterbait or a spinnerbait through it clean enough. And I'll pick this up and throw it. And they were on it immediately. I mean, I think on my second or third cast, I caught one, a little one. I think the first 3 fish we had within the first 15 minutes of us being on the spot, we might've had 5 pounds between those 3 fish. Like they were not the right ones. I threw out again, I got another bite and missed it. And then I threw out the swim bait again, and felt the pop, saw the line swimming off, set the hook, and that fish was 5, 6, something like that. So at that point, I'm like, okay, this is going to play. And then I caught another one on the swim bait a little bit later. So that was our 5th fish. I mean, we launched the tournament. I don't know exactly when we launched, probably 6:15 ish. We had our limit by 7. I mean, we had with that big fish, we probably had 11 pounds. With
it's
a
like you just
106.
you ran out and sat down right on them.
Yeah, I mean, I literally went to a waypoint that actually Miles and I had fished last year. This time of year, we were out fun fishing. We got on pretty good, and I sat on that. I put the poles down as soon as we got the first couple fish, and then but it wasn't like that. That's another thing that was kind of weird. Is a lot of times on the flats, you'll catch a fish, put the poles down, and milk the area. Every time we did that, we didn't catch any more fish. So for us, we had to cover water. So cover water in the same area, but like they weren't so close where you could pull down and just fan cast and make it happen.
Bunch of questions stacking up. Let's quickly go through a cliff note. You get to your first spot, you're fishing grass, you usually lock down. Is that about right on the through line of the story?
We did. So like we would catch one and pull down, and then we wouldn't get another bite. So after 10 minutes, then we would put the poles up, drift 50 yards and catch one. And then we would try it again. And eventually I was like, I'm just not gonna put the poles down anymore, because
why drift?
Covering water. And the reason for that is, and there's kind of 2 schools of thought that I've learned fishing the bay, and I've done both of them, successfully and unsuccessfully to both sides. But like, there are times where, especially like on the back channel where the grass is very visible, there'll be thicker patches, and you can catch a couple fish in those patches, put the poles down and kind of fish the edges and maybe flip up in the holes and stuff like that. But the patches aren't huge. So a lot of times guys will fish one and then bounce to the other one. Or if you know that this patch has got fish, they'll catch a couple in it, pull down, and then really, really milk it. But for us, I wasn't really getting a lot of quality bites in the thick stuff, like the matted laying over stuff that people generally want to fish. I wasn't really doing it. So I was catching them a little bit off of that. And that was the more sporadic stuff.
Why do you think?
Honestly, I think that there were quality fish in the thick stuff. I think I didn't catch them in there because I couldn't get the chatterbait through it. And sometimes that's just the thing, right? Like when I got out into the sporadic stuff, I was able to work the chatterbait the way I wanted, where, maybe 2 or 3 times a cast, it would get hung up in a piece of grass and I would rip it out, and then I would get bit, and Miles would do the same thing. But like in that really thick stuff, you can't do that. So I think there were still fish in it. I just think that we were getting the fish to bite because they were in that more sporadic stuff, because we could throw the bait that we wanted to throw that we knew they were eating in that, but we couldn't throw it in the thicker stuff.
And were you guys fishing the bowl itself? Like, I don't want to dox your spots, just a generic area so people kind of understand it. Were you in? Okay.
Yeah, we stayed in there all day. I mean, we stayed in there all day. We didn't leave it. I left it to go check some marinas, and it wasn't happening. I think I spent maybe 40 minutes total of the whole day checking 2 marinas that I know can have some pretty good fish. I mean, me and Miles had like 19 and change in the tournament last year fishing marinas. So this time of year, so we had to check it.
So for people that aren't aware, that do not follow Bass and Beer Radio, please go check them out. This, we're going to go super stupid for a minute. This right here is the bowl. This is the flats that they're talking about. This is where the tournament launches from, the Northeast River. What you have to understand, this fish is kind of like Okeechobee. It's just one big bowl, and I think there was like 200 plus boats. So I'm assuming, was it like a traffic jam on that thing, or did you have it all to yourself?
There was a lot of boats. I mean, they were actually, for the size of the tournament, I mean, there were definitely some parts that were pretty busy, but it wasn't as bad as it's been. It's not as bad as I've seen it. I mean, we were the first boat on our spot on the back channel. Ironically, there wasn't a whole lot of guys that ran over there. I mean, we only caught 2 quality fish off of it, and we ended up leaving at around 10. But that's kind of the thing that gets in your head when you're out there on the flats, and there's a bunch of boats out there where, if you're the only one on a spot, generally, it kind of gets in your head because, oh man, like these guys, I mean, because there's guys that are practicing the flats 3, 4, 5 days before one of these tournaments. So if you were on that good of a spot, somebody else would have found it.
Yeah.
But we ended up catching our 2 quality fish from over there on the back channel, and then we kind of decided to make a move, check some marinas, and then we ended up
in this area right here. No,
nope. That's an area I like though.
Wait,
I do like that area.
Mm-hmm.
Did you point to my screen or a map?
He pointed to his screen. He pointed to his screen.
So,
but
yeah, and this is what's fascinating. You guys got to understand. So, because I get this inundated, so many questions about how do I run this place. This place can be horrifically dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Navionics, all that stuff. There is a cut through channel, but again, really ask a local or make sure you have good mapping before you just buzz straight across this bitch, especially at low tide.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Was this a low tide tournament or a high tide tournament?
I think it started. I think we had incoming until like.
So it was filling.
It was filling up, but it wasn't super low like when we got out there. Now I don't really push it running the flats. I mean, I know I can run a couple areas, but like just getting to the back channel. I mean, like we ran out of Northeast, we went across over past Furnace, and then went through Tidings Marina and ran down. You know what I mean? We didn't cut it like a lot of guys cut that back channel area because they know how to do it. Like I've done it on high tide. But I haven't done it on low tide, and it just with a pretty much brand new boat, I would like to not ruin it and destroy it.
There's
so, and then it's ironic because I blew my
foreshadowing.
Yeah, I blew my lower unit on Saturday,
and there it is
in 30 feet of water. So I should have just ran the shit. But anyway, yeah. So we kind of we had a limit by 7:00. I mean, it was not. Within 40 minutes, we had a limit. Now, it wasn't a good limit. We had one big one. And then we ended up, one big one and one decent one. So we probably had 12 pounds when we left the back channel. Went to check a couple marinas. And then I just kind of did the same thing I did on the back channel, where I was like, I had already identified, like, I got some waypoints out on the main flats that I caught a bunch of fish in, actually, as far back, as 2019.
So when you're going to go to the back flats, you're on the flats. How much weight do you have right now before you make the decision to leave?
At this point, before we went to check the marinas, I had about 12 pounds. That was probably 10:00.
What was your vibe at 10 with 12 pounds? Was that good? Is that bad? Is it like just go home and start drinking?
No, I mean, I knew we had we had 2 decent ones. So it was like,
what time did I text you? Because I texted you at some point, and I was
emotional support.
I was like, what, I hit him up. I'm like, so what's going on? And like, he comes back, not even 5 minutes later, which is weird because when Tony's fishing, he's very disconnected from his phone.
Yeah, I don't have it.
And he answers me right away. You were like 22 pounds or something?
Yeah, that's
22 pounds.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was in the afternoon.
Shit.
It happened quick. I'm not gonna lie to you. It happened quick. So we got out. So we left around 10. We checked the marinas. that probably took us to, let's call it 11. Let's call it 11. Now we weigh in at 2. So I don't ever count myself out. And I am not the best fisherman on the flats. I'm nowhere near the top 10. So I don't want to, say anything, but like, I'm nowhere near these guys that routinely are doing big bags.
Dude, there is some absolute hammers out there on the flats. I mean, that is all they do. That's all they fish. I mean, it's all they know. Yeah.
So
just beasts.
Yeah. So we made the move, and I went to some other waypoints that I had out there, like big clusters. And this one actually was pretty neat because in an area that was probably 100 yards long by 100 yards wide, roughly, I had maybe 16 waypoints. And I actually, after the tournament, went back and looked at them, and every single one of them was done in the last 2 weeks of May over like 3 years. So it was an area where I routinely caught fish that time of year. And I usually don't put a waypoint on the flats unless it's like over 4 pounds, because I mean, you catch so many small fish, right? There's a lot of like 2-pounders on the flats because it's a healthy fishery. So we go out there, and as I'm running, I run down the main channel and cut my normal run onto this area. And I see the boats. I'm like, shit, dude, I really hope that there's not just a bunch of boats on this stuff. And as I'm getting closer, I realize that the boats are probably 200 yards further in from my waypoints. So it was neat because there was a big group of boats and then my waypoints that nobody was on, and then another big group of boats even further out. So we kind of had a little bit of an area to ourselves. I mean, and we kind of bounced around in that area. We got probably within 100 yards of the closest boat, which is pretty actually decently far when you talk about the flotillas on the flats. But
I mean, dude, the way the flats fish is sometimes, there's guys could easily flip a Senko and hit somebody else's boat. I mean, that's common.
Yeah, I mean, it can get very busy. So we get out there and put the trolling motor down, start fishing, and I'd say we get out there at 11:20. By 11:30, I think Miles had caught a 5 on the chatterbait, and I'm like, all right, this is it. Like we're in the spot, right? I caught another decent one on the chatterbait. I think it was 3.5. Miles catches a good one on a swim jig. So now we got one more fish to get rid of. And I think around 12:30. So again, within an hour, we called out 4 of our fish. And then the last one I caught was over 5. So we ended up with 3 fish over 5.5 pounds. And then one, I think that was 4, and one that was in the 3s, and it ended up right at like the 22:16 mark.
22, God, that's a fat.
I could have stayed out there longer, but I got nervous. And the reason why I got nervous is I knew I had a big bag. I knew I had a shot to win, and the water was getting low. And with as heavy as that boat was, it was taking like a little while to get on plane because the Bullet's got a 45-gallon live well.
And then again, guys, because this question's come up on Instagram, this is the Susquehanna Summer Slam on the Upper Bay. One of the biggest events on the bay with legitimately people that were, I do have a couple of interviews that pre-recorded from Bass University people that were fishing this event. These suckers beat some of them. So this is like not this is a legit deal. And what was going through your mind when you landed that fish? Did you not have a little freak out like, holy crap, we might be doing a thing?
No, I didn't. And the reason for that is because I just like I said, I'm nowhere near the best fisherman out there. Like I'm not even in the top 10. And I know that a lot of these guys that are in the top 10 were out there. So, in my head, I'm like, all right, we didn't scale any of our fish during the tournament. I never do. But I knew we had like between 21 and 23. So I'm like, we're up there, but we really need, like, if we catch one more over 5, we probably got it.
It's almost like when you go out and fish the flats because of the amount of hammers that are out there all the time. Like if I have an 18-pound bag of fish, like I'm stoked on that. Like that's great. But if I know that there's somebody else in that tournament that's a bigger hammer than me, I'm like, oh, they're definitely sitting on like 25 pounds. So like, you know what I mean? It's like you always just assume that somebody else just has a bigger bag than you do.
Here's the interesting thing, all right, and because one of the comments, I think it was Joshua Evans said, "What did the 5 fish have in common? Similar setup, location-wise, bait presentations." This one is actually, I wanted to get to this. When you fish the flats or when you fish the grass beds on the Potomac, I mean, you can see what people are doing. That's just the nature of the beast, right? You rarely have a grass bed to yourself. No. You can see what guys are throwing. You can see who's catching fish. It's just part of the game. So, and I noticed that is when we were out there, we glued moving baits to our hands. It was a chatterbait and a swim jig. I mean, it's simple stuff, like nothing groundbreaking about it, right? It's the Bay in May. I mean, that's what you throw. So we're sitting there and we're catching good ones. I mean, like I said, we got there at like 11:30.
Chatterbait, swim jig, and a weighted Senko.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even, but here's the thing is like we saw a lot of guys that were pulled down with spinning rods in their hands and they were catching fish, but like they're catching fish and they're throwing them back right away, or they're getting a measuring board out. And I'm like, yeah, if everyone that's got a spinning rod in their hands catching 2-pounders, like I'm not picking up a spinning rod. Like, why would I do that?
Right.
So, and we were at the point where we're catching enough fish or reaction baits to where it was like, well, I don't think I need to change it, So that was kind of the deal. I think the thing that got me, and I look at it after the fact, is I think we waited at 2. I rolled out of there around 12:45, 1 o'clock. We went back to Northeast to try to pick up another big fish. Didn't happen. I got out of there because I was worried with the tide going out and how long it was taking my boat to get on plane because it was so damn heavy, because we had all Miles's gear, full live wells and whatnot. I was afraid that I was going to get in a situation where I couldn't plane to get on the flats or to get off the flats. I'm
sure there's some setup that you can do that'll help with your
a hydraulic jack plate that I don't have.
Well, yeah, that. Sure.
But the other thing about it too is it's kind of one of those things where I'm running a 28 pitch prop on the bullet so I can run and load it in the 70s. So it's like you trade that off, where if I was running a 26 or a 27, I would probably have a little bit better hole shot, but not the top end. And like that boat's for making long runs. I mean, to get from the back of Northeast to the back channel while with idling through tidings, right? I'm telling you right now, it took me less than 10 minutes. Dude, we were just rocking. I mean, like peeling your face back.
Why didn't you just cut across the shipping channel?
Well, I could have, but the water was low enough to where it was making me a little nervous.
The shipping channel is like 25 foot deep.
Well, to get on the other side of the back channel, we were fishing the bank side.
I guess you were, yeah.
Yeah, we were fishing the bank side. Now, and there's areas where you can do it, but I was looking to do that, but for whatever reason, my trail was like, I guess I deleted my trail and didn't delete the waypoints. Yeah. So I didn't have the dotted line to get me over there safe. But the other thing about it was, it's like, that was one of those days where you just had to like, I mean, we're catching big fish on moving baits. Like, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to pick up another bait. I'm not going to pick up a worm. I'm not going to pick up a drop shot. I'm not going to pick up, something slow when, and I tried it, there were areas where I would pick it up and, I'd make a couple casts with it and Miles catches another good fish on a moving bait. And I'm like, why am I even doing this? So it was definitely one of those things where you just had to glue what was working in your hands and just make it happen. I missed 2 fish during the tournament that are going to haunt my dreams. I didn't see either of them, so that kind of hurt. The one was on a swim bait. I set the hook. Fish did not move. I mean, it could have been a decent or even a not a great fish, but in the grass. And it was totally my fault. I set the hook. I didn't move the fish, so I like took the rod back to him to catch up with line because I was losing line. And I guess he just got enough slack and got off. And then about 2 casts after I caught our last keeper, the fish was like, I was over 5. Threw my chatterbait back out there and set the hook, reeled down like 2 or 3 times, and then like in the middle of the cast, the line just broke.
Ah, damn.
So I don't even know why. Like, it didn't break at the knot. It didn't break in the reel. It broke like, I don't know, 20 yards off the rod tip. So, but again, never saw it. it felt like a big one. I mean, I just caught a 5-pounder and this one felt good. So, and you know what? And that's the shit that kills you is when you get in second in that tournament by like less than a half a pound, and you're like, man, we had like a 3 3/4. You know, if you catch a 4-pounder, that's it. I mean, you win.
But
when you get to the point where you're even having to call a 4-pounder, you're having a good day.
Yeah. What you had something, Thomas? What were you gonna say?
yeah, I was gonna say like perspective is reality. Like, did you see some of these people that you beat?
We did.
Yeah. Paul
like-
Batters.
Pete
We did.
Lusick.
There was a lot of
Have you heard of
guys.
Pete Lusick, 28th place. You beat him.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I thought you meant did you see him on the water?
Oh.
I mean, I did see some guys on the water. A buddy of mine, I don't know if he's watching, Pablo, he fishes out of a bullet. I think he won a tournament last week. We fished in the area with him for a little while. So I mean, like, and that's the thing where like it is when you fish like that, it is kind of difficult because you'll see guys and sometimes it gets in your head where like, you know, and it goes both ways. Like if you're fishing on a grass flat and you know the local bay hammer that's got a hot stick pulls up and wants to fish the grass next to you, you're like, oh man, I'm in a good spot. This is great.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Or you pull up to a grass flat and the same guy is already there, and you're like, well, I don't want to fish this because that guy's a fish vacuum and he probably just caught all the fish. You know what I mean? So like, it's one of those things where it does play, but I don't take anything into my head with this because there's not a whole lot that I can tell you that we did that was super special or super like
That's the
specific.
military training.
Well, no, I mean, it's like,
well,
there's nothing that we did where I'm like, this is why we caught fish. I mean, we caught fish because we fished water where I could throw the bait that they were biting. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to force it in. And I believe that that's what a lot of guys did. I believe that a lot of guys went out and practiced. They found really good fish in areas and they locked down on them and tried to fish them. And if those fish weren't eating the baits that, if you couldn't fish the baits, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to work out. Like, if I would have went and caught fish in a really thick grass clump on the chatterbait on a high tide, and then I went and fished it in the tournament, I don't think those fish would have moved. But if you can't get a chatterbait through it and they're eating a chatterbait, you're not going to catch them because they're not eating the worm. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's one of those things.
The part of it is also is like when it's your time, it's your time. Like
Yeah.
I didn't believe in this crap until recently because I had the worst tournament ever. I know, guys, I didn't post about my Potomac tournament because the first time since I was 15 years old, I got blanked on the Potomac. I fished an area around the boat ramp, caught nothing, put the kayak on the ramp. A guy came by, casted where I did, and he caught a fish that helped him win the fucking thing.
Mhm.
Like at that point, it's like, it's just, you flip a coin. Like, I think to be consistent, yes, there's things to do, but when you throw your bait out there to make the 5-pounder get to it before the 2-pounder does, that's a flip of a coin. You did everything correct and put yourself in position to where fate could smile on you. And
Right.
that's all you can do. That's all you can do.
Yep. And you know, and like I said, it does make you feel good too, because like you mentioned, I mean, there are some monsters that fish that tournament. I mean, there are some absolute hammers. So when you go up there and, you know, best a bunch of those guys, really best everybody but one boat, I mean, that does make you feel good.
Who won it?
I don't remember their names, but they have won this tournament before. They were class act guys. Like, they were really cool. They were very humble guys, and they deserved it. I mean, they had a 7.5 pounder in the live well, so that'll help.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Here we go.
They had a 7.5 pounder in the live well, but they also had, you said there was a 2-pounder in there?
They look like they had a smaller fish. I mean, and just looking, not sounding like an ass, but like, look at the weight.
Choi and then Matthew Yingling.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, whatever the hell that name is. Dude, I'm sorry for having that last name. Anyway, thanks you guys.
But yeah, they had they had a 7.42. So you mean that gives you a lot of wiggle room. I mean, you can weigh 22 and change with a 7-pounder and then have a fish or two that are, you know, under 4 or under 3 even.
You were
in your
just
bag.
so close in weight that it was like, I don't know. It's crazy how close you guys were in weight.
And you can't even be mad about it, right? Because like those guys, like, dude, like, you catch a 7.5 pounder. I mean, that's huge. You know, that is
massive.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was big fish for the tournament as well.
Yeah, those guys cleaned up, dude.
Yeah.
They won. They first place, big fish, and first option.
And they always win this tournament?
They've won it before. I don't know when they won it. We were talking to them when we were weighing in, but they have won it before.
Vic and Logan got 4th.
Yep.
Good for them.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, there was some. I mean, and that's the thing, man. There's some really, really good fishermen. But here's the other thing that I noticed is like with a lot of these really big tournaments, I think it's harder to catch those giant bags.
Yeah, like a 1-day event is so much more of a crapshoot than 3 or 4 days. It just is. Everything has to go completely right. There's no wiggle room to like you can have a bad day and then you can come back and actually have a turnaround. But
well, my thing is like when you got a tournament like this where there is I think it was 192 registered boats or something like that. There's so many more boats out there, right? Like if you have an area where you want to fish, even in a 100-boat tournament, there's a better chance you'll have that to yourself and you'll have a crack at those 5, 6 big fish that you want. Whereas if you have 200 boats, like the areas are just going to be crowded, especially when this tournament, so many guys go up there and practice very thoroughly and find a lot of good fish. So there's just so many more. There's so many more takers out there where I feel like it's harder to catch those big bags because, like we've seen like the flats trail tournaments, guys will weigh in like 23, 24, 25 pounds. I was actually a little surprised. I really thought that somebody wouldn't. I thought the weights for this tournament would be a little bit higher, but it kind of makes sense when, I mean, there's so many boats out there. It's just by a numbers game, right? If there is a grass flat that can fish 3 boats and there's 6 boats on it, it's kind of tough to, for 1 or 2 of those guys to really capitalize on it when you can't fish the whole thing like you normally would in a smaller tournament.
guys, as always, get your questions in here if you can win a gift card. This is an interesting statement here. To me, it's 80% skill, 20% luck. Yes, but I meant like the 20% luck is very important. I've gotten to the point I've probably interviewed about 700 people. I just interviewed the Bass Open winner on Lake Norman. To be consistent is skill. To have that day to win is a perfect game. It's the guy makes an insane catch that keeps the game alive. It's everything goes right. So I 100% agree. Luck, like skill is important for 80%, but that 1% to be the guy in the last day, you fucking know when you're fishing a day that you're going to win. It's just like a perfect game when you're pitching. Everything is it's working. Man, you are dialed. It is addictive when you're on those days because they're rare. So,
right. And that, and I've experienced that, not that I've ever fished. I don't fish a lot of the huge tournaments on the bay. And a lot of that's just because there's so many of them and it's hard because with my, military schedule, I'm missing at least 1 or 2 weekends a month. So, it's hard to fish a lot of those opens, but like I've kind of had a hot streak this year. I mean, I fished 3 tournaments in this boat. I've won 2 and came in second in this one. So there are definitely days. I mean, like there are times where you could do no wrong for like a couple weeks and you just kind of ride that as best as you can because it can come to an abrupt end, which mine did on Saturday, which was interesting.
Right.
It's pouring in right now. What's going on, Jamie? Thanks for joining the show tonight, buddy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny how it works is like you just get on them and you just like, you get locked in and you get dialed in. You know what I mean? Where not to talk about a different tournament, but I had a club tournament a couple of weeks ago, end of April, in the gunpowder, right? And the gunpowder is most people don't even like fishing it. I was able to win that one with almost 16 pounds, but it was like I could tell you before the tournament even started, I could tell you where I had to cast, like not where I had to fish, where I had to cast to win that tournament. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just get in that shit so much, but like the tournament that Miles and I won on Conowingo a couple years ago, it was like that. It was, this is where you cast, not this, let's fish this bank. It was like, no, you cast here. That's where you're going to catch them. You know what I mean? So like, it just, I don't know. It's in a way, it's similar to baseball. Like I played baseball most of my life. And like, there's times where like the baseball looks like a beach ball when you're in the batter's box. Everything that comes over the plate, you hit. And then, just same thing with baseball. There'll be days where you can't hit anything. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if you tried. And there's days fishing like that. You know what I mean? Where you just, man, it sucks. But yeah, it was, had a club tournament on Saturday in the worst weather possible, and I won that one, and was only on the trolling motor for half a day. So because I was running out and caught my 5th fish, was going to make a move, couldn't get the boat in gear, finally got it in gear, made it 200 yards for it, let go, and that was it. So it's back at Propeller Dynamics. I saw Morgan commented earlier. So Morgan's got a project among many others when he gets back to work tomorrow. I think it's a shaft, which kind of sucks because that lower's got like 12 hours on it. It's just one of those things, man, just happens. But that's the game we play, right? I mean,
that's the game we play. None
of this shit is cheap, and Murphy will show up eventually. So
again, guys, 22.16 pounds. They came in second in, again, one of the bigger deal tournaments on the Susquehanna Flats, the Upper Bay. This is, again, if you want to win a gift card, ask a question and you have a chance to win a prize. I do have a Patreon member that asked a question here. Let's see. How do you approach the flats? I have a kayak tournament. I'm a complete newbie. Where does it start? The actual location of the flats? Is it safe for a kayak to be on?
It's absolutely safe for a kayak to be on. If you put in tidings, you're on the flats.
The back channel is never a bad place to start on the flats.
If you put in tidings, you're on the flats. If there's a kayak ramp in Furnace Bay, you're there as well. You could put in the Susquehanna and paddle around, but basically, I mean, like the flat starts where the grass starts, and right now there's grass that's kind of everywhere. So if you were to put on, in Haverty Grace or in tidings, make a right, go out the channel. Once you pass Apartments Cove, you're in grass, and you can fish. You can fish that to your heart's content. To get out on the main flats is going to be a little bit of a paddle for you, but there's a lot of guys in kayaks that fish Furnace Bay, especially, and then back channel just because it is close. And the only thing that's dangerous about the flats is you can definitely get when you get bad weather. I mean, it can get pretty nautical. It was pretty nautical on Saturday. That's another thing. I don't understand how you have two. I'm going to steal a quote from Dustin Crow because it's true. I don't know how you have 2 foot rollers in 2 feet of water and don't see the bottom, but that's a thing too, apparently. So it can get pretty nasty out there. It was pretty disgusting on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like you put in the tidings, put it in Furnace Bay, just paddle till you see some grass and start fishing it, man. Like it's kind of how we all got started. When I got started on the flats, one of the guys in my old club said, run down the main channel till you see the red buoy, put your trolling motor down and fish and just learn it from there. So,
all right. Here's a good question. Justin Durham on Instagram asks, again, guys, go over to Facebook or YouTube because I can share those questions. Instagram is retarded for some reason on StreamYard. It won't let me share the question. But he asks, how is the gunpowder fishing this year?
I've had a couple good days. I fished it yesterday on the trolling motor just because that's all I got right now. And I had like 11 pounds, but I like I said, I was only on the trolling motor. Now me and you practicing for my club tournament, we had like 17.
It's been the gunpowder has been one of those things this year where it's just very dependent on the day that you show up. We've had like a 16 or maybe a 17 pound day when we were out there. And then it seems like to me, I've probably fished it 6 or 7 different times in the areas that I really like to fish. And it just seems like it's very, very hit or miss. And the quality hasn't really been there.
Yeah. But I mean, you gotta manage expectations, right? Like that's the thing about the gunpowder is you're never gonna very rarely are you going to compete or win a tournament on the gunpowder where you're competing against guys that are fishing the flats.
There was a time. Yeah.
It's happened. It has happened, but it's not rare. It is rare. And generally it happens like certain times of the year. It definitely doesn't play all year long. I mean, there was a tournament. I think the two or 3 years ago, there were guys that were running down. I think Tom Bavaro was catching a lot of his fish in the Gunpowder, fishing the flats trails in the Chester County.
There was a time where a lot of guys would run to the GP.
Yeah, and it cycles. It hasn't been great the last few years, but I mean, there's still some fish. Like me and Chad went there, and we had like a 16, 17-pound bag in practice. I had 15 by myself fishing a club tournament the next weekend. So like there are fish there, but I don't know. It's not, the whole river's not productive. There's a handful of spots that are, but a lot of it's not. So it can be frustrating if you don't know it, because a lot of it looks really good. I mean, if you've never been there and put your boat in, there's wood all over the place. There's docks, and you're like, oh my God, I can fish here.
It's like the Jurassic Park of bass fishing.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in there, and a lot of it's just not productive, and it's weird. Used to be a lot of grass. Grass hasn't been there for a while. The fishing hasn't been as good.
I feel like one of the differences with like the flats is you can find fish in a grass patch, and it seems like they'll hold in that grass patch for a while.
They can,
but like in the GP, you might find them on like a certain stretch of laydowns, and 2 hours later, like they're gone. They're not there anymore. They just move so much.
Yeah. But it's a fun place to fish. It's one of my favorite places to fish. Yeah. Even though, but again, manage expectations, right? Like I treat a 15-pound bag on the Gunpowder the way I treat 20 on the flats. You know, if you catch 15 on the Gunpowder, you did pretty damn good. If you catch any more than that, you did really good.
And if you guys want more updates on all this stuff, please link in the episode description. Go check out Bass and Beer Radio. Usually Friday nights, go check them out. They can answer all these questions. We got a two-parter here that I can answer from It's E-Man, which is, are there any snakehead tournaments on the river this year? And do y'all talk about kayak tournaments? So, boss, I put out more episodes than there are chapters in the Bible. Yes, I cover kayak tournaments. Go check that out, or message me, Instagram, Facebook, and I'll get you squared away if you're new to the area and you need to be all situated with that. But yes, you can do it, but you have to be safe, because we don't have lakes. We have rivers that connect to the ocean. So it can get kind of sporty out there. So you need to make sure that you're like all prepped for that stuff, so you don't become like a statistic. Headwaters Jim, what size truck? What size truck?
I think they're talking about trading swim baits.
It's really funny because Joe and Jim are literally talking about trading swim baits like live while we're sitting in here talking. Okay. I'm like watching it. They're like talking about the different glide baits out there. But yeah, it's funny as shit. Right, great glide bait, by the way. The Buca Trick Shad and the V joint.
So we got another one here. I never been on the flats, heard too many horror stories, and want to keep my lower. It's not as bad as the rumors, honestly, guys. You just got to be kind of intelligent about running it all.
I will tell you, running the Gunpowder is worse. Running the Gunpowder is worse than running the flats.
I was nervous yesterday because I was out on the flats yesterday, and it's like one of them things where, like, I've fished a lot of areas, but I was in an area that I just had never fished before. And I'm just like, how did guys get all the way over there?
You just run it.
And they're like, you just run it. And I'm like, you just go. And they're like, you just run it. I'm like, all right. So like, that's where it comes back. We've talked before. Like, we're very comfortable with running 2 and 3 feet of water around here because it's just how you have to get around.
All right. Okay, here we go. I wanted to give this guy a gift card tonight, so we finally got a question from Headwaters Jim Fallon. Did you notice that color of baits played a role in the catching?
100%.
Headwaters Jim, message me on Facebook. You just want a gift card. Please reach out to me.
The answer to that question is 100%. It was dark colored baits. Like I threw a white chatterbait a decent amount. I threw a white spinnerbait a decent amount. I never got bit on it. Did not get bit on it one bit. It was the darker the chatterbait, the better. I mean, again, it's not rocket science. Like Miles was throwing black and blue. I was throwing the blackjack. Blackjack, that's a bad bait, dude. That is a really good chatterbait.
Is that the black with a small amount of chartreuse?
No, it's just straight. It's jet black. The whole thing is jet black.
Right on.
The everything about it, the skirt's jet black. The blade is jet black. That bait is awesome. That is a really, really, really good chatterbait. And I've caught them on it all year. I mean, I've caught them in this time of year. I've caught them into July on it. It just, for whatever reason, I guess it's kind of subtle color wise. It's natural. That's been my confidence bait. Another one that I like that's similar to that, I did catch some fish on recently in my tournament actually on Saturday, and the good luck getting them, is the Raid Max Blade. It's JDM. It's amazing. Good luck getting them because I probably bought them all. But it's the Raid Max Blade. The big difference between it and the jackhammer is the Raid has a plastic weed guard that comes out of it. Fish is really good in the grass. Fish is really, really good in the grass.
What's up, Steven?
All right, guys.
Yeah, there's a couple chatterbaits out there from the JDM market that are very, very worth having.
Yeah.
But good luck.
JDM is where it's at. And then, guys, again, ask a question, win a prize. We've got Joe here, says Paul Blatter still owes me a gift card. Well, dude, reach out to me on Facebook. You just want a gift card to Jake's Bait and Tackle. It's not going to be worth a lot, but it's something to ease your pain because he's running a marathon right now, probably in like Kenya or some shit like that.
Dude, Paul is a runner.
He is a runner. Let's see. Hard to beat a straight black Cinco. Black is a really good color. Like it's like, what do they see though? Is it just that they can't see color? So it's just the pigment of black? Because white and black, I heard somewhere on YouTube, I will find the video guys where it's like you literally, if you just had white and black as colors, you're fine because of
it contrasts so well. Even in murky water, when you have really muddy water and then you put something in there that is darker than the murky water, it just creates that contrast. It just has that separation that, in my opinion, just does really well. Like, imagine somebody put it to me this way, and I thought about it, and it just made so much sense. Imagine like being in a pool, and you go down to the bottom of the pool, and then you look up, and you have the moonlight coming down to the surface of the pool, but then you have something that's just this dark silhouette that swims over the top of the surface. You see it so well. The water is dark, but that black silhouette just going over the top, and you see it, just that contrast between it and whatever other light there is just creates a separation that you can really see. And black is an extreme confidence color for myself.
Also in Hagerstown called the Porch Python. So yeah, there's some lore there with the hellhole I live in. Anyway, the thing I wanted to ask you guys, the scrotum baits, it's making a big deal now.
I have seen that.
Oh my God.
The urchins. What are your thoughts?
So, all right.
I still think it's a situational
bait. You just had this moment. You're like,
I still think it's a situational bait, man. They're using it. They've used it for live scope. They're using it to fish beds and fish docks. But would you take in some of the ways that I've seen it rigged, would you take the urchin and throw it in the middle of the flats and the grass patches?
No,
I don't see it.
I think you can catch fish on it, but like I think the thing with the urchin baits, right? Whether it's I know the JCS Marine. By the way, if you guys are looking for some urchin baits, hit up JCS Marine because I got a bunch of them. They're the real deal and they're selling them. So JCS Marine, hit them up. You'll get some. I think the thing with the urchin baits, and I think Paul actually got this right on the money when we talked about it before, is the size presentation of the bait and how good you can keep it in the strike zone. Like it's such a slow falling bait, and you can impart a lot of action in it while it's on the strike zone, and it has a lot of secondary action on its own. Whereas you got to think, right? Like if you're throwing even a mooch minnow, like a lot of guys are still doing this kind of thing with the urchin bait. Like you don't have to do all that. Like I mean, you can if you want.
It's got the appendages that are just moving around for you already. Right.
It just like bass are curious creatures, man. I mean, bass are very, very curious creatures, and especially smallmouth or sight feeders. But I was talking to a couple guys that fish the Elite 70 down in Virginia. There's a guy down there that's won a couple tournaments in a row, to my understanding, on a koi.
Lucky, yeah.
Yeah. So, the bait has its place. I mean, but it's like, the question is going to be in a couple years, right? Is it going to be like a whopper plopper when it completely took over the world by storm and then it kind of cools off? I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, I'm going to get some and try them, but I'm not going to enjoy it. I can tell you that. I'll enjoy it if I'm catching fish on them, but I'm gonna like make sure nobody sees me throwing it
We
because I don't
gotta
want them
get
to
like
judge
a
me.
we gotta get like a stack from JCS Marine.
I've already ordered $200 worth from them.
It's weird because I think
Virgins?
Mhm.
Shit, I wish I knew.
there's a compare and contrast between Scope Lakes and Tidal, Upper Bay, Potomac, James, because those guys are so old school, backlogged on information. There was a minute like 3 years ago where like throwing a shaky head or a drop shot was a big deal on Tidal. It's like, dude, this has been a thing for all reservoirs for the last like 30 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's going to affect lakes first and then Tidal later, because Tidal fishermen for some reason are so bad about adopting new techniques. I don't know.
There's definitely some spots, I mean, on the bay, and in some of the rivers where you could throw it. I mean, there's some spots in the gunpowder where you could throw it and probably catch fish on it, to be completely honest. Joe Mannion had a question on here, and I just wanted to answer it because we didn't get a chance. But he basically asked, when we win money, me and Miles, do we split it 50-50? Yeah, 100%. Whether it's my boat, his boat, because and then he followed it up with because of boat maintenance, because he's had boat issues. I've had boat issues, obviously, over the last little time. But no, we just split it down the middle. And then it's funny because I made a bet with myself this year. I said, once I win enough in tournament winnings, I'm going to buy a Poison Ultima. And won my club tournament. So that was like a little bit of the way there. And then we got second in this one. And now I have enough money to buy a Poison Ultima. But I think I'm going to buy a lower unit first.
It literally still geeks me out that all of a sudden you are just like
I just
throwing
want
these high-end rods when all you ever wanted to throw was freaking, not that they're bad, but Ardennes and other things like that. Now
Yeah.
you're throwing other rods and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
this is
between
incredible.
Like, I don't disagree. I think, again, if you guys don't know, I'm retarded. So Andre, I think it's Andre. Old things still catch them well on the Potomac, baby, one minus spinnerbaits. Yes, but it fish get conditioned. And I think they get conditioned to things that have a distinct movement or vibration. The whopper plopper and I think the urchin have a distinct movement. Right now, they're not used to it. But the reason the Cinco or the Ned rig habitually works is it doesn't do shit in the water. And so they don't get conditioned to it. But if you guys don't remember, this reminds me of the whopper plopper. When the whopper plopper came on the scene, quite literally, you caught a better fish if you threw it. But then it didn't have that play anymore because the noise, that vibration, everything, every fish in every lake understood what that meant. So I think it's going to be good for now, but then it's going to kind of do a bell curve thing and come back to like the average.
Yep. Scott Dyes has a good question. He says, did you sit and fish the tide all phases in one spot, or did you have to run? So, and you know what? And maybe this is to my detriment, but I don't fish like that. Like, I don't run. I've never really had days where I'm like, oh, this is, well, let me back up. On the flats, right? There are areas where I know where it's good with high tide and bad with low tide, but I don't ever like go to a spot because I think this is the best. There's a 30-minute bite window in this spot with this tide. Like, fish are going to be in an area no matter what. Generally, right? Like, but especially we get later on in the year, you fish in an area where there's fish, tide goes out, there's a grass edge. You fish the grass edge, you probably catch them, right? So, and then where there's high tide later, this is later in the year, but like when you got grass edges on high tide, you can go fish that. So you can run your tides a little bit, but I know guys that will run to a spot in the grass to fish it for 15 minutes because of the tide is this, and then they'll leave and then they'll go run here because the tide is this. And like, to me, I don't do that. Like, I think it overcomplicates stuff.
That is an autistic amount of freaking understanding, like what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but there's a lot of guys that do that though. I mean, and back in the day when
fishing for Dallas,
back in the day when guys fished and the bay when the upper bay flats wasn't as dominant, when, you know, guys were running down the middle river to fish tournaments and you know, Dundee, there was a lot more of that. It's not like that anymore, but there was a lot more. I mean, there would be guys that would start their day locally because the tide wasn't right down in Middle River. And I get that a little bit because there's a couple hours difference there. But I mean, like, I mean, I think fish move. You got to understand how fish move with the tide, but generally they don't go far. I mean, they don't, in my experience. And again, I'm not anybody special, but I don't think fish move that much.
Same as a chat. Ooh, okay. So guys, here's a really good question. And I'll let my autism brain kind of figure this out. The same as the chatterbait when it comes to they get used to it. The thing is, if you're dealing with vibration and cover, that's a little different because it's a reaction bite. I truly believe this because situationally based. If you're fishing Beaver Lake in the middle of the like gin clear water, yes. But when you're fishing heavy grass, the thing is you're literally throwing that and smashing it through grass, and then they see it for a split second and it's gone. That's more of a reaction bite. I think that's harder for them to get conditioned to. That's why the chatterbait on the Potomac and the Chesapeake has been so good for so long, is you're reacting to it. When it's something like a minnow that they can just stare at that thing for 6 hours, that they will get conditioned to that shit very quickly, I think. Yeah, the more cover involved, that's why you can punch for them from the 60s until now and it still works, is because it's just you drop it in front of them and they either eat it or they don't. But I don't know.
Actually, I'm gonna show you this. Let me see if I'm probably gonna not do this super well, but so I want everyone to pay attention. Ready? What color was that beer cap?
Coors Light. No, that's the wrong answer. Anyway,
but it's the same. It's the same concept,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
It's the same concept. Fish is sitting there. Oh, something. Boom. They either get it or they don't, right? And we did this a lot better when we were on Lake Anna a couple years ago.
Kevin Parsons
Blew my
shoved
mind.
that right in my face, and I was like, "Fuck!" I was like,
So he took a worm. One of our buddies. He took a green pumpkin senko. He didn't. We weren't watching him, but we were having this argument about does color matter and reaction bite, non-reaction bite, blah blah blah.
What's up, Matt?
He had this thing in his pocket, right? And he throws it to Chad, and Chad like catches it, and he's like, "Now don't look at it. It's in his hand." He's like, "Don't look at it." He's like, "What color was that senko?" And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "Damn, I don't even know what color it was. I don't even know that it was a senko. I don't even think it was a senko. I think it was something else." But it's like, but I think that's the thing with like these reaction baits is like, I think color matters because if they're only seeing it for a split second, they get that much better or worse of a look at it, you know, when it's just coming by. I mean, and that's the thing with grass is like, I think these fish, I think their lateral line plays a lot more.
yes.
So they can probably feel it and hear it coming before they see it. So they might already be like amped up and then like something, there it is, bang. You know what I mean? Like I really don't think a lot of fish are following these baits out here. I don't think the chatterbait's fallen off at all, and at least not here. I think if anything, for me, it's gotten better over the years. Maybe that's just because I've learned to fish a little bit better. I've caught more fish on a chatterbait in the last 2 years than I ever have.
I can
Where are
see.
you
We've talked
fishing?
about this before. I can see how, you know, like at one point, like the spinnerbait was like the most popular like bladed bait.
Yeah.
Everybody was throwing a spinnerbait. Then the chatterbait comes out, and it's something that the fish had never ever seen before, haven't heard it, haven't felt it. The chatterbait became this new big thing, and now everybody's got chatterbait, and eventually now for the application of fish in the flats when you're in the grass that way, it doesn't necessarily apply the same exact way, but eventually I feel like the spinnerbait could be something that produces more bites a couple more years into the future, because not that they stopped working, they've never not worked, just less people utilized the spinnerbait.
So there's two variables here, and I want to touch on this. Headwaters Jim here, but a chatterbait makes a lot of noise, and after day it gets used, they start getting conditioned to it. Two factors here. One, how much cover are you dealing with? Because the Potomac doesn't have a lot of grass this year, so the chatterbait won't have that reaction bite. Number two, there's a micro and macro level you have to look at. If you just had a 3 or 4 day Toyota series and everyone threw a chatterbait, yes, they're conditioned because they felt that in a very quick amount of time. But you wait 2 days and you go back to that grass flat, they're going to be fine with the chatterbait again. Like they don't have that long of a memory in that case. So it really is, I think, cover dependent and pressure dependent there.
Mm-hmm.
The bay where you guys fish, the grass is way healthier than the Potomac River. The Potomac River sucks this year for vegetation. So if you have a 4-pounder sitting in some milfoil or hydrilla and you crack that thing through there, he's going to react. But on the Potomac, there's no grass. He can feel that thing coming from a mile away. He can see it coming from a mile away. He can make a decision on it.
So interesting about the Potomac, because I've talked to a couple of my buddies that fish like the elite 70s and whatnot.
Fishing for some old Potomac brown trout.
Yeah, right. So like, so I've heard that there's not a ton of grass. I mean, is there any grass south? Like, I mean, when I hear guys say, there's no grass in the Potomac, okay, that means there's no grass in Belmont because that's a parking lot. There's no grass on Greenway because that's a parking lot. And there's probably no grass in Smallwood or in Mattawoman because that's a parking lot. But I mean, like, how many guys are running down Potomac Creek or maybe the back of Aquia, Nanjamoy, or Port Tobacco? You know what I mean? I'm thinking about this. And again, you may have the answers to this and may not be able to spill the beans, but like,
yeah, it's my brand. I'll spell it. Aquia has grass. It's very minimal. Belmont sucks. It's like 4 acres. It's not very much. The grass, basically think of it like from DC down, it's just a slow creeping poison that's just killing all the grass. Every year it gets worse, and it's starting at DC and working its way down. And people think it's because of the poop pipe. People think it's because of runoff. That's a rabbit hole of so many things. And again, there we go. Sean says, Aquia didn't have much. It doesn't have much. The beach area in the front of Aquia has a little bit, but you'll know it because there's 50 boats. Wherever you see a cluster of boats is basically where the grass is. And it's a problem. It really is. Now, I don't want to, I'll go down a rabbit hole about conservation and all that stuff, but it is an issue of why this doesn't have grass, because the reason the bay, the flats, is so good is because of the grass. If you took all the grass out of the flats in the Northeast and the Susquehanna Flats, that place's fish is a whole lot different.
You want me to blow your mind real quick, Thomas?
Blow me. I'm going to clip that.
Oh, God.
All right. So I have a buddy of mine, and I won't tell you who he was because he fishes Elite 70. And I won't tell you when this happened. But I'm looking at a map of the Potomac River right now. Let's see. This is the furthest south I've ever heard of bass caught on the Potomac.
Below the 301?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Lower Mackinac Creek.
Yep.
Like, you're in striking distance of the mouth of the Potomac.
That fish is in danger of getting eaten by bull sharks.
Like, and by the way, it wasn't I went out fishing and caught a bass. It was I went out fishing and caught 17 pounds. And this was a couple years ago. But I'm just saying, right? Like, I'm not putting his stuff out there, but like, yes, like I've heard that fish are caught all over the place. Now, in a tournament, it's not really realistic to run down that far, but like, I know for a fact guys have caught fish there. Like,
this is the upper Mackinac right here.
Lower is
and
way
you go
farther.
down here. Oh, well, this is like the Rosser Creek. So I guess this is upper and lower. But this is the Rapidoc Creek area.
Lower is actually down a little bit farther. Oh my God.
Right
Chad's
here?
girlfriend brought
Hey,
beer.
babe.
That's amazing.
Say hello to everybody.
He got beer.
We have beer now. This is great. We only had like 2 beers tonight. We weren't prepared.
She brought us
But yeah, now keep in mind, like that was a couple years ago, and you know, I think he just went on a fun trip. So if he's watching this and calls me later and is pissed at me, I apologize. But like I said, I'm not gonna say who it was.
No,
yeah, that's the furthest south I've ever heard of fish being caught over there.
So the upper Mackinac has fish too, and there's something else here, guys. I'll nuke this on the show. There will be a tournament one up here in the Wimico River. All of these places have fish, and then I did record an episode. Did you guys know that there are weekend tournaments in this northeastern river of Maryland called the Patuxent? Yeah.
So
I didn't know this river existed until like a week ago.
so interestingly enough, all right, here we go with the autism brain, because I have it too. So if you look at the map, right, because I got it on my screen as well. If you look at Jug Bay, like above Jug Bay can be nasty. There was a guy in the Bass Opens that was running to Patuxent and back from the Northeast.
Jesus God, how far?
And he did it. It's a lot. Now there was an old. It's from the 90s, I think, but there was an old survey that Maryland DNR did. They did a black bass review. It was this huge survey, and they went into all these rivers, and they I don't know how they did their survey, but the Patuxent was actually really highly acclaimed, as was the Chickamaucomico and Transquaking rivers on Maryland's eastern shore. The Patuxent, I mean, there's no reason why there wouldn't be fish there. There's some videos online of guys, kayak anglers, catching some fish in it. I would love to go fish it for fun one day. You know where else there's a bunch of fish? In the
water,
the Patapsco River in Baltimore. And I'm not joking. I am not joking about that. If you go into if you follow the Patapsco River along 895, all these ponds, the Belgrove ponds, if you find 895 and then just kind of follow it.
Look at this.
So that's the corridor right there. But if you find, so you got to go a little bit south towards Arundel Hills and whatnot. Yep, keep going that way. You see 895, all where your cursor is. There's fish loaded up in those ponds.
Look at this.
Now you might die going to fish it.
We get shot, get an 8-ball, and catch bass.
Yeah, you might catch a dead body or something like that.
Yeah. So it, there's fish in so many places, and I'm one of those types of guys that like I always used to like to find off the wall stuff and try to make big runs and go fish the elk and the sass and Still Pond Creek and stuff like that. And just like I just realized like I'm gonna have a better use of my time just fishing the areas where I know there's fish and just trying to be better than everybody else. You know what I mean?
Again, guys, get over to Facebook or YouTube, ask questions. Instagram question here from Flamex, which is which creeks have bass in it? Every creek on the Chesapeake has bass. The key is, and this is the question you have to ask yourself, does it have 20 pounds? All these creeks, like we just mentioned, like south or north of the whatever the hell, I hate all these Indian names. The Monocacy, like all these Nanjemoy, they have bass in them. The problem is they have 20 pounds. When the grass is good, you don't have to drive 400 miles. That's the key. When the river or the upper bay sucks, that's when you have to drive. The reason Martin was able to win there is it was a bad timing cycle for the flats itself.
Yeah,
that's why. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to go to Middle River to win. So just keep that in mind when we say you have to explore all this shit. Because if Mattawoman and Aquia Creek are on, you don't have to drive 200 miles to catch 15 pounds. So
yeah,
you couldn't pay me to go fishing in some of the areas that we just went over in Google Maps. And the comments are making me laugh. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
you don't throw chatterbaits there; you throw syringes.
You have a lot of
stereotypes aren't given their earned.
Tony, message me if y'all want to go to Jugs Bay one day. I fished it for years. I really want to try that place. Let's see. Jamie also said, Jamie grew up there apparently. Grew up fishing it. Okay, cool, dude. I heard there's smallmouth in there too, because it's actually like the tailwaters of one of the Baltimore lakes, I think. A Loch Raven or one of those lakes, I think. Pretty Boy.
No. So maybe Liberty. No, actually. Damn it. No, because Pretty Boy and Loch Raven are both in line with the gunpowder.
Rocky Gorge Reservoir. Which one is that?
Rocky Gorge, I think, is the Patuxent. I think Rocky Gorge is the Patuxent.
That's where Jason and Steve fish a lot. I think it's
there it is, Patuxent River. Boom.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's Tridelphia Reservoir. I don't know which one that feeds.
You're thinking of the Patapik, not the Patak. Okay, this is why we conquered the Indians. All these names sound the damn same. How the hell is Patak and Patakutex? Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to say this.
So,
sorry.
All right. So
this is why we did what we did.
So the Tridelphia Reservoir and Rocky Gorge are both part of the Patuxent, and then the Patuxent.
There you go.
goes down farther into the Jug Bay and all that stuff. But yeah, cool place. It's on my list. I would like to go fish it just to try something new, but it's hard to do that, and that's one of the things. Like, I love fishing tournaments and it's great, but there is something to be said about just going and having fun. I mean, let's be honest. If you wanted to go catch a bass, you could go catch a bass in Back River. It can be done.
It can be done.
Just don't touch it.
Pat Tapsco, sir, you just want a gift card to Jake's Bait and Tackle. Please message me on Facebook. Thank you for helping me. I did pass Hooked on Phonics.
Anglers Arsenal Bait and Tackle just won a gift card.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's some inception there. But yeah, thank you for doing the Hooked on Phonics. I definitely need that. Yeah, and I even had on the Snakehead Guru himself. All these little sneaker creeks, that is where the next Snakehead Steak record is going to come from. It's all these little freaking feeder creeks that no one's ever fished before. There's some freaking giants in there for sure.
Oh yeah.
Jamie says, if you catch a bass over 1.5 pounds in the tungsten, message me.
Okay, that's just okay. Yeah, challenge accepted.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I like fishing new places, but again, it's like, in a way, if you're fishing tournaments like consistently, you're kind of wasting your time every time. You're not dialing it in where the fish are. Mm-hmm. And I've made that mistake so many times. Like, I used to love to go to other places, and I'd catch like 13 pounds and be like, oh my God, this is great. And then I'd run there in the tournament and catch 13 pounds and I'd lose because I didn't fish where 20 pounds was, like an idiot. But it was still kind of fun. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. You gotta know, if you know where they're at, like, and the areas. Like, I think G-Man said it actually in that 2015 Open or the Elite Series on the Bay. If you don't have anywhere to go, don't go anywhere at all. You know what I mean? Like, if you go to a spot or nothing panning out in practice, go to the area where you think fish are that's close and just pick it apart. You'll probably do better than sending it on a Hail Mary.
No, 100%. All right, guys, we got 2 more questions here because we're not going to be here all night. The alcohol poisoning will get to us. Definitely a small window on Jugs Bay. Last of the outgoing first hour. I do love, like, all these, when you hit these niche little groups, like, they really are the first ones to come, like, hard in the chat. So yeah, I'm going to have to go check out Jugs for sure. I once saw a 10-pounder at the boat. At Jugs? Where the hell are you talking?
Yeah. Describe the boat launch using only the coordinates.
Some 10-pound jugs.
Yeah, like blonde, Hispanic, green, brown.
He said no. I think it was just a boat ramp.
To the blonde or to the bass? All right. Let's see. I think that's all the questions we have here. Yeah, okay. Over on Instagram, Josh Man Fishing, rock dumped into the Pataxican and the branches in the Little Pataxican. Route 3 bridge between Bowie and Gambridge holds the most snakeheads and a decent largemouth and smallie population. All right, good to know. Good to know. All right, and the last thing, Liberty did it. All right, Tony.
Second Geo.
You winning on Saturday.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the worst fishing condition day I've ever fished here. I fished some pretty bad ones on like Kentucky Lake and Conowingo, but Saturday was pretty disgusting. But yeah, I was able to win. I only had like 12 pounds, but it was like, I mean, you couldn't fish most of the stuff. Like, you couldn't fish the back channel for the majority of the day. I went out and caught my 5th fish, and then my lower unit went up, so I trolled from Furnace back to Tidings with 12 pounds, and that's what I had. So it was enough.
I like Cameron's question.
All right, well, let's answer it right here. Okay, so Cameron Johnson 734762. When we refer to a chatterbait bite, are we referring to a jackhammer? Iko, do you think the bite is the same on a Strike King vibrating jig?
Jackhammer is a great bait.
It's the king of the chatterbaits.
The Evo is amazing, by the way. The Evo, especially the Evo Tungsten, which is pretty much the same price as a jackhammer. The only reason I like the Evo Tungstens is the colors are different. I like them better in some cases, but I like jackhammer colors better for certain things. The Thunder Cricket is a special place in my heart. Yes. I have caught a lot of fish on it over the years, but I do a lot better with the Thunder Cricket early. Right around this time of year, I kind of stopped throwing it, and if I'm going to throw a chatterbait, it's going to be an Evo or jackhammer.
You got to remember, we're talking about the jackhammer and comparing it to the thunder cricket, and they're both vibrating jigs, but they are exceptionally different.
They're very different.
Their vibration and in their sound.
The thunder cricket's a really good bait. I would say, I mean, if you're going to pick 3 chatterbaits to throw, and those are the 3 that you throw, you're going to be successful.
I would not hesitate to throw a thunder cricket. I love throwing a jackhammer. Like, I always have a jackhammer tied on, but I also, like, if I didn't have any jackhammers, I wouldn't hesitate to throw a thunder cricket at all. It's one of those things where everybody is throwing a jackhammer. So to pick up a thunder cricket and utilize a thunder cricket, I think can honestly produce more bites for you. I've done it personally. I've done it in the GP where the jackhammer wasn't working, and I threw on a thunder cricket and just started picking up fish right away off of the different tone and vibration of that bait. So it does make a difference.
Boom. There you have it. Angler's Arsenal bait, Patuxton. Anyway, yeah, dude, you're not going to win this battle. 5 teachers have failed in my life, and they probably are on suicide watch. Anyway, Angler's Arsenal. If you don't want a gift card because that's a little weird, that's okay. So yeah. Anyway, let's see. We got one more question, and we're going to shut this thing down because everyone probably has other things they have to get done. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, we got to finish this off with headwaters, Jim. That makes sense. It's like throwing a big swim bait. Be different than the other guy.
Yep.
100%. Closing thoughts, gentlemen?
I would say, when any tournament, right? Like, just fish what you're confident in and do the best. I mean, it sounds cliche, but just fish what you're confident in, and don't just because you see everybody else, because that's how we fish out there. You're going to see other guys doing this and that and the other. You don't have to do what they're doing or do something different because they're doing this. Just go out and fish what you're confident in. Every day is a different day. So take your practice with a grain of salt. If you don't practice at all, just go fish areas where you think there's going to be fish and just do the best you can to make it happen. I mean,
remember why you started fishing in the first place. And this is something that I've had to do multiple times, just kind of backing off of or coming off of what Tony just said here. You're fishing tournaments. It can get frustrating. Yes. It can be angering. It can put you in a dark place. Just remember why you started fishing in the first place, and because the shit is fun and that's what you love to fucking do, and roll with that.
Yep. Absolutely.
The next best fishing spot is the outflow of Occoquan, where it goes into the town of Occoquan under the Route 1 bridge. I want to fish
Occoquan.
Occoquan, yeah, dude, like that place is really good. The problem is it is a no wake zone. So if you're coming from a different boat ramp, it's a long ass time to get all the way to the headwaters of the dam.
So Occoquan and then the Octoraro are the 2 different.
Octoraro's in Pennsylvania. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yes. Occoquan is the river and the lake itself. Let's see. What was the other thing? Do you prefer fishing the top of the grass or ripping it through thicker grass with a chatter bait?
Ripping it through the grass.
There's definitely a point where you can't fish your chatterbait through grass if it gets so thick. At that point, you either go to a lighter chatterbait and burn it, or you find patchier grass. I prefer to find patchier grass. If I know that fish are in thick grass and I can't get the chatterbait through them, I'll try to slow down and maybe throw like a swim jig that's a little bit easier to get through, or swim bait or something. Generally, but if you're not making contact with the grass, though, you're not doing it right. Like you got to be at least hitting the grass, but preferably ripping it out of the grass. 2 to 3 times per cast seems to be money. Like if I throw it out and I got to do one of these, I want to do that 2 or 3 times per cast on average. If I got to do it the whole time I'm bringing it back in, it's probably not going to work as good. But if I'm not hitting grass at all, that's not going to work either. So you're going to kind of find that medium.
I want to piggyback off of this question and Tony's comment. Based off something, I started tying a new knot because not that the Palomar is a bad knot. It's a great knot. I just needed to try something different. And I started throwing the double San Diego Jam.
It's amazing knot.
Your knot choice when you're fishing the grass is almost just as important as the bait that you're choosing. And I found this out the other day when I was fishing the grass, and I'm throwing the double San Diego Jam, which is a 3 tag line knot. So I have 3 tag lines that are an 1/8 long hanging off the knot, and it gets snagged up with so much more grass. So picking a knot that is a little bit more linear, I think, is very important for when you're fishing the grass, when you're throwing that chatterbait and you're ripping it through the grass. You don't foul the bait up as much if you have a knot that is a little bit more linear. I think that's actually really important and worth its weight in gold for, take it for what you will. But I think that's very important.
Right on, guys. All right. And then let's see. We got one more from, Tricked Out Tens. Glad to see you guys live. Congrats on 10K subs, dude. Thank you so much. We passed Serious Angler Podcast. Next thing is BTL. I'm going to beat BTL. This is imposter syndrome to the nth degree. The last question. I keep saying this, but these guys are the most popular people in our area.
Let them roll. Let them roll.
What chatterbait trailer were you using?
I have completely and almost exclusively gone to the straight tail trailer. There's a couple options. They're all pretty good. I personally like the Crush City Freeloader. That's my chatterbait trailer right now.
That's the Hog Farmer.
No. It's similar, but the Hog Farmer makes the spunk shad and missile baits.
Yeah.
The Freeloader is similar. I don't even know that the Freeloader was designed for that. I think it's a lot of guys use it for hanging a mini, which I use a lot for that too. But the reason why I like that over the spunk shad is the size. It's a little bit smaller. The spunk shad, I believe, comes in 4.5 and 5.5 inches, and the Freeloaders are 4 1/4. So it's just a little bit more compact. And I think and all these baits do the same thing, but I think you get a little bit more hunting action with the smaller Freeloader because the bait isn't held to stay in a straight line more. The more back draft you have hydrodynamically with a longer trailer, I think the bait's going to stay in a straight line more. Now the tail's going to have a lot more action because it's longer, but I'm telling you, man, if you put a Freeloader on there, you'll watch that chatterbait, boom, it goes to the right. You don't even have to do anything. Swim, bam, it goes to the right or goes to the left or whatever. I haven't seen that as much with the spunk shad because it's longer. There's more draft to keep it straight.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with that Freeloader, it's a little bit shorter and it'll be going, boom. So I think that matters. I do have spunk shads. I've been very successful with the spunk shad. I'm not going to say I'm not, but the Freeloader has definitely been the one for me.
I'm a big spunk shad, either the Hog Farmer spunk shad or whatever the missile baits title is for. It's the missile bait. Well, what's the Hog Farmers? I can't.
They're
remember.
both the spunk shad.
They have
a deal.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a deal.
That's what it is. I like throwing the spunk shad, and I have a lot of Zakos. I like the Yamamoto Zakos. And Yamamoto just came out with a smaller profile Zako, and that is an absolutely killer chatterbait trailer. And those are the only 2 plastics that I'll run on the back of it. I'll run a trailer hook. This is taboo to a lot of people. I will run a trailer hook on the back of a chatterbait if I'm fishing open water.
See, I don't do that because when they eat it, they fucking eat it. Like I don't have to worry about if he bites it. I mean, he's in a boat.
I've done it. It's worked for me. It's just situational depending on where I'm fishing.
Guys, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Please, if you guys are listening to this or on the re-upload, go check out Bass and Beer Radio. Link in the episode description. When do you think spitballing your next show is going to be?
It's going to see if I can get off work on Friday. I would love to do it Friday. If not this Friday, next Friday for sure.
Okay. So in the month of June, there will be a show.
Oh, absolutely.
We're shooting for Friday.
And everything's kind of calmed down a little bit now with the big tournaments are kind of moving along and I'm back from my training. So I think we should be able to get a little bit more. We're definitely going to get a little bit more consistent as the summer rolls on.
Yeah, that's the goal. Get a little bit more consistent here. We want to thank you for dragging us out of the deep dark cave, getting us back online tonight. And we're gonna see if we can sink a hook into Paul Batters and pull him back in the studio as well.
The real question is Thomas going to make an appearance at a Gunpowder Thursday nighter this year?
Yes. Tom is going to hopefully be doing that this summer. I'm signed up to take my CDL in July, so I'll have a job to make this thing called money, which would be awesome. Yeah, because that's the thing. So, but yes, I got to go to the Gunpowder. I want to get up there with you guys, or get in the boat with you guys, and we can make some content.
You let me know when. My house is right up the road from the ramp. I'll take off work the next day if I'm not already off. We'll fish the freaking Gunpowder, and we'll go back and we'll get hammered.
Yes, that is a play. I like that idea. Guys, again, link in the episode description, everything we talked about. Please go check out Bass and Beer Radio. I really appreciate it. If you guys want a gift card tonight, message me on Facebook, Instagram. You know the deal. And this will be uploaded again. I will leave it unlisted, but it'll be uploaded again on Thursday. This is the deal. Tomorrow, we have a cancer awareness special talking about skin cancer and what you need to do. And then Wednesday is the biology debut of Back Bay, the history of Back Bay. It is the farthest north Florida strain bass reproduced is Back Bay. I have the biologist on talking about the history of that to get ready for the Pascatank or the Albemarle Sound Bassmaster Classic. And then we have this going to be debut. So as long as you're listening to this, you'll be able to check it out. So
you're going to be doing your podcast from a Peterbilt.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's honestly cool.
I love that.
That's amazing.
That's not wrong, actually, at all. But anyway, with that said, like and subscribe to the channel, guys, and we will see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. Later.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia. Tactical Fishing Company. LMD Enterprises, keeping your boat, truck, and equipment running at its absolute best. And Fishing Pro Tech, located just outside Williamsburg.